What about now? Can anybody hear me now? Yes, no, fish? Ooh. Anybody hear me? Is that a yes? Do we have sound? Do we have visual? Are we singing and dancing and having a very good time? Because I'm not. Right, I'll do that again. I've just done about a 10-minute intro into what I'm doing, and yeah, apparently not. So anyway, those are the unpainted ones that went over that way. And we'll get the painted ones to here. So I'll be doing this again. See, Imperial Guard. This is the subject of the hobby hangout and hobby tonight. Going to be Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum. Really rough and ready, really quick, but really effective paint scheme. I mean, just look, they're brilliant. Go straight onto a table like that, and these took me a little over an hour for a squad. So get those over there. Don't need that anymore. Don't need him anymore. Hurt. Yeah, definitely a hurt. But we don't judge. And there's my platoon commander, who we did the other day. So yeah, pretty basic. And you missed seeing this guy. One of my first miniatures that I painted after coming back to the hobby after quite a long hiatus. Yeah, one of my first, about within the first 5. I've just put an oil wash over him to make him look a bit better and get him in keeping with the rest of the army. Cool beans. Right. Okay. So now we need these guys. Oh, I thought I'd. Oh. You know what? I thought I'd primed these guys. Obviously, I haven't. Still bare plastic. So we'll get straight onto that. But you know what these are. So get the show on the road. Get the primer out. For those of you who don't know, I'm not a professional painter, and that should be very much apparent right now. That's my primer that I use. Scale 75 black surface primer. It's a matte primer. And that goes straight into the airbrush with a little bit of thinner. Some thinner. Hey Google, compressor on.
Okay, turning compressor on.
Wow, first time. Cool, right. So a little bit of thinner in first, because then when you do the trick, it will bubble up through. That's probably a little bit too much. Oh, come here. Just put that a little bit that way. There we go. That's fine. Cool. Paint in. Quite a few of these to do. This is where paint goes everywhere. So a little bit thinner. Just this will go through the compressor. The compressor. Hopefully it doesn't go through the compressor. Goes through the airbrush just fine as it is, but I like to have it a little bit thinner. Finger of the end. A little bit of air through. You can see it spitting paint everywhere. It's entirely what we want. Cool. Right. Nice steady airflow. Nice steady paint throw. Flow. Who's throwing paint? Thin coat of primer in all the nooks and crannies and crooks and nannies and recesses. This is just rough and dirty. We'll be hitting it up with the zenithal in a bit. so we can see all the wonderful, wonderful detail on these guys. It's amazing how much difference just an upgrade sprue with a few different heads on, of which that's not one, so that's a bad example, can actually make the look of quite an old kit. And these are part of my New Year, New Army. So I've got a 500 point force of these being painted right now, in fact. Now I've got to get a couple of Chimeras and a Scout Sentinel. Once they're painted up, that should be 500 points with 2 squads and 4 characters. So how are you guys doing? I know we've got hobby chat going on the Discord. On Say Hi Paul's Discord, that is. I don't have my own yet. Doesn't seem worth it at the moment, because there's only, what, 51 subscribers, something like that. So, you know, put the word out, and maybe I'll sort out a Discord and can all find somewhere else to chill out. Hey CA, how you doing? Not that I would wish to detract from Say Hi Paul's Discord. It is truly amazing. One of the best hobby Discords out there at the moment, I would say, in terms of quality of people. Better even, I would say, than certain other Discords with a similar membership, shall we say. Let's not. But no, some good folks on Say Hi Paul's Discord. You can get access to that by joining his channel for not much money. I don't think it's much more than a couple of quid for entry level, and that'll get you access to the Discord, and you can see things that are going on in the members lounge, I think, which is his paywalled YouTube content. I think, don't quote me on that. He'd be the best one to explain what his comings and goings are in terms of what various members get. I do empty this this paint pot, this water pot every now and again. Today is not that day, because it's only getting it mucky again. These things are fantastic for airbrushing and stuff. These water bottles used by tattooists and, well, presumably other people as well, who need a quite a high pressure controllable stream of water. Right, cool. That's that done. Let's get some primer in there. Just run that water through. Yeah, this is why my palette is filthy. It doesn't matter. As long as the paint that goes on the miniature is neat, it doesn't matter. Everything can be cleaned up. Right, shaky, shaky paint. Shaky, shaky, more primer. Grey, in this case. Vallejo surface primer. Let's see how we're doing with the drying. Are we dry yet? Yeah, more or less. Cool. Boom. Let's put paint in there. Let's chuck a bit of thinner in there as well. Why not? I forgot I got music going on in the background, so if I start singing whatnot, it's going to start sounding a little bit incongruous. Well, paint coming out of the airbrush is always a good thing. Right, okay. Zenithal. A lot of people just go straight down and call it a day. I like to give it an all-over spritz and then pick a direction for the light to come from. So I'm going to look about 45 degrees straight down over the left shoulder of the miniature. So I'm doing a quick spritz just to give it something for the contrast paint to actually adhere to, and then a bit longer spritz from that one direction. Okay. So we're just sketching out light values. And this will really help when we come to actually use the contrast paints. Because Games Workshop suggests just putting them over grey cere or wraithbone. That won't work. You need to go in with the zenithal really to get that variation in light and shade. Just to let the contrast paints really do their work. We've got Paul watching. Have I sold you an airbrush yet, Paul? Yes, so good. For exactly this purpose. And make your contrast paints come alive, and you can do crazy fast work with and then we're just banging through these, you see. Quick spritz all over in the one direction. So a little bit of shade. There we are. Oops. Something for the contrast paint to cling to and show up. Because if it just goes straight onto the matte black primer, you won't see much from the paint. Scratch. You can see what it's doing. It's bringing out the highlights. And then when we go in with the contrast paints, which are really well formulated to work as glazes if you water them down a bit. They'll just end up tinting the colour. There we go. A little bit about airbrush technique. When I first started with airbrushing, let me just find a quick spider spare miniature. Plague Queen here. I'd go in and I'd go, and then I'd come off the button each time like that, and that's not what you want to do. You want to maintain the airflow as long as you can, and just, we've got a dual action airbrush, just pull back gently to release a bit of paint. You give it a lot more control over the paint flow then. A lot more control. Because it's not until you pull back that the paint's released. If you just on and off, you get splashes and it's not good. Anyway, yeah, a little bit of an airbrush lesson. Okay. Oh, you had a hobby block. What's got you back into the hobby then, CA? Can't spill the beans. What's your secret? What was your hobby block? What are you painting now that's got you over it? You notice this time around I've not got fancy graphics or anything like that because that was a third-party app, and I tried broadcasting through that this time, and it wasn't having it. I tried it a different way. I tried setting up the stream through YouTube, and then streaming through the third-party app. But I think the third-party app just wants you to set everything up through them. But if you do that, you have no control over who's in the chat and who can chat. So you get the occasional Russian, I'm sure entirely legitimate account coming in and saying random things. Entirely legitimately. That'll do. That's the last we will see of the airbrush on these. I'll put that aside. Hey Google, compressor off.
Got it. Turning off compressor.
Oh, she's behaving herself tonight. Excellent. Right. Color scheme. Well, some of you know I am basing this. Let's see if I got a picture kicking around still. To hand. Not easily available, I don't think. I can't see it. But no, Boggalone knows where that is. I put it somewhere safe, and that is a death curse. Yeah. Anyway, if you Google the artwork from the original Imperial Guard plastic box set, you'll see where I'm going with this. They're Necromundans, and they are in stock Ministratum Grey. And we are going to use the Silicanum Grey, but we're not going to use it neat. We're going to move those to the side. Get the wet palette out. And a nice big brush, not that one. Maybe that one? No, that one's rubbish as well. Yeah, that'll do. Nice big brush. Look at that, a 9. Who paints with a 9? I do. Right. Shake up the paint. Silicanum Grey. Get a bit out onto the wet palette. And add a bit of H2O. Be careful with it. Spritz that up there. There we go. So it's a bit more of a glaze and a wash than paint. So just going over the uniform. That darkens that right down. But you see, it doesn't actually give much coverage. It's like a tint and a wash. So that just goes all the way over the uniform and everything. We don't care. It's all more or less the same color when it comes out. One done. This is incidentally how you use contrast paints properly. This one thick coat nonsense is in fact just nonsense. And you use it fairly thin. You can be super careful with it. Obviously situationally. Not required in this case. So, okay, that's over the entire uniform. Done. Need a bit more of that grey. Starting to run out a bit. So if you try to do this with Knoll or something like that, you wouldn't get the bit of coverage that you get from the contrast paints. So this is what makes them so useful. I mean, you can use them thick situationally, but in this particular instance, been a bit slapdash for these guys. Let's put the painted ones somewhere where I can actually find them. Yeeted one across the room. Bear with me 1 second. Come here. All right, there we go. Nuns with guns, best nuns. I'm waiting for my. I'll be getting some of them, I think, with the. I don't know whether it's Imperium straight or whether it's one of the premium options for Imperium. And I shall be getting some nuns with guns at some point, and I'm looking forward to painting them because I have never have I ever. Right. So we got a little bit more of a. It's come out a bit darker this time, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, seriously, because one thing you'll find is once soldiers have been in the field for a while, is their uniforms tend to change colour, either through supply issues and such like that, or just through grime and grit on the uniforms. But you'll often see variations in colour. If you look at old World War II photos or from Vietnam War, you're more likely to encounter one in colour, so for the purposes, you'll see cobbled together uniforms of varying different shades, and that's fine. Because, you know, when you're running around and getting shot at, things have a tendency to get damaged. Of course, I used to discard bits of the uniform when it became inconvenient. The German tank crews during the Second World War, getting towards the end of the war, they'd get rid of their black field caps because they were afraid they'd get mistaken for SS. Because particularly with the advancing Russians, SS were just getting summarily executed, which is understandable. But tank crews were Wehrmacht usually, and they were SS panzers, but the Wehrmacht one used to wear black caps. And they didn't want to get executed. True fact. Yeah, a couple more to go. A bit more grey out. Bear with me, I'm not particularly responsive to what's going on in chat at the minute. I'm just, because it's on a different screen, I can resolve that in a moment. I just thought, if it's in the zone at the moment, I've got to go with it. There we go. There's our sergeant with his bolter from the new Cadian shock troop kit. It really is a nice kit. Some nice little options, and there's enough in there to do a couple of squads. So if you grab the getting started with kits, or start collecting, whatever they're called. Yeah, if you get a start collecting kit, you get a squad of guard in there, and a tank and a commissar. And if you get a Cadian shock troop thing, you can do the the troops in the Cadian shock troop box, and you've got enough accessories left over, spare heads and what have you, to do more than just the one in the start collecting box, to be honest. You probably get another 2 squads out. Interspersing and using the old heads as well. You can create variation, certainly. Right, there we go. Cool. That's the last one. I can remember which was the first one now, because, like a Muppet, I chucked them all in a pile rather than lining them up. I will remedy this problem. Sergeant was relatively recent. He looks almost dry. He looks almost dry. He looks very wet. 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 Okay. You're more towards the wet side. You're dry. Okay, cool. Away goes this one. And out comes the Black Templar. Because in the original image, the flak armor on the guard units was black. Let's get a good amount out. And again, you'll see I'm using a big blocky brush still number 9. Because we're not worried about detail. We'll put that away now. And let's leave it out just in case. Get a little bit of water in there because you want slightly more coverage with the black. I'm going to put my glasses on because I just realised I can't actually see. Right, flak armor and boots. So boots. And boot. And flak armor. We've missed a bit of right. Let's see if we can get a bit of grey going on. There's a little bit of grey left over from last time. We'll just go over that neck. There we are. Okay, cool. A bit of a wash. Wash, he says. The water in that thing's probably more full of paint than the palette. Right, and gun in black. So it just comes out dark grey. Gonna hit that up with a bit of aluminium in a minute. Same with the helmet. We want that base colour, that base, rich base. There we go. Put it to one side. Melter dude. So you see I'm being careful, but I'm not being that careful. He's got a gas mask on. And he's got some glasses on as well, so they can be built in black. Stab that in there, let it flow into the recesses. I mean, to be honest, once you've got the contrast on, like this, with a little bit of thinning down and whatnot, and once you've got the colours more or less where you want them, you can almost chuck them straight onto the field. I mean, they'll do. But I think if I did that, I'd feel I was cheating myself and my opponent. So I tend to try and do a little bit more. Did I do the boot on that one? So it's the problem when you're working at speed like this. You're okay if you get into the zone. I would say a little bit of a distraction going on. You keep wondering whether you've forgotten to do bits like boots and cuffs and things. See, I've gone into the uniform there a little bit. It doesn't matter because all of these minor sins will be covered up with the Grimdarking. Ooh, he's quite cool. I don't know whether you can see that. He's got a bit of a bionic eye going on there. Yeah, that's quite cool. So we'll remain aware of that. Maybe put a little mark on the base somewhere, so we remember, because that deserves a little bit of colour later. It's a little bit of accents like that just make the unit pop and stop it being a completely monotone unit. Give it a little bit of character. The other one, my other unit's got various ones with gang colours and what have you. It's just what I'll probably do with this unit. For the other one, I put blue cuffs and a blue stripe on the helmet, which is Warlock gang colours. What regiment will they be from? Necromund 667th is what they're from. One better than hell. If you go on my Instagram and take a look at some of the pictures of them I posted up there, I've been dropping little bits of lore, mostly homebrew lore, based on GW lore. Dropping little bits of lore for them. Give them a little bit of character. And then you care about them when they all get annihilated. But the thing about Necromundan regiments is they're drawn from the gangs. A lot of them are. And they discovered fairly early on that mixing the gangs within the regiments wasn't the best plan. Because it caused a lot of internal friction. So there's a standing order within the 667th and probably other Necromundan units. The wearing of gang colours, or obvious gang colours, is forbidden. But troopers being troopers, they find ways around these things. So squad colours, platoon colours end up being gang colours. And oops, sir, didn't mean it. Apologies if this is a little bit out of focus, but you're not missing much, to be honest. I'm just blocking in colour, finding something to do with myself. One of the good things I find about painting miniatures is once you're in a bit of a zone, you can just some cards on the one. Cool. Mark him as well. It stops you thinking. And sometimes you need to stop thinking. Just get lost in something entirely inconsequential to the world. The world doesn't care about your silly little plastic toys. You can just shut it out for a while. Okay, we're getting into we're overtaking the drying of the paint now, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful. Otherwise, it's going to get messy. So, fortune favours the bold, though. We're not going to slow down. Go. So boots, not done. Boots on the back, need doing. Boots done. Armour done. Weapons. Done. Bolter. I don't even care about getting black paint on his hand at this point in time because I'll pick out all the flesh tones in there. Wraithbone in a bit, and then I've got a variety of different. I use all the different flesh tones and one that isn't actually a flesh tone from the contrast range. My palette is drying out. Wet palettes are not supposed to dry out this quickly. It must be warm or something. Right. Sergeant Stripes in black because kind of an idiot wants to be marked out as an NCO and shot at. Nobody. Right. Let's get a bit more moisture in there. There we are. Lie down and behave yourself. There we go. Cool. Not pretty. Does the job. Okay. Then back to it. This is one of the darker ones I was talking about. Uniform from a different supplier, maybe. Or maybe he's from a different founding. And he's been drafted into the 667th to make up losses or whatever reason you want. Maybe his detergent just isn't that strong. What is a uniform colour safe? Dabby dabby dab. Gone. No fear. Just get the paint on there. That looks like one of the old heads. Or maybe it's not. No, that might be one of the newer ones. Looks proper grumpy. Not impressed to be there. I don't know whether you can make out the expression. Probably not. Half the problem is everything's backwards on my screen as I look at it. Yeah, anyway, he looks proper grumpy. It's me. It's me if I was made to be a god. I'd be grumpy about it. And again, straight on with the black temple black. There's a neat trick you can use when painting black, and it's not one I've discussed in any of my tutorials so far. It is nonetheless a neat trick, useful for character painting. Certainly, I don't think I'd want to use it for painting a unit because the consistency, the color consistency you get from it could be a little bit variable because you're just eyeballing it each time rather than pulling a standard color out of a pot, which is does make life much easier when you're painting an army. It's a super duper useful. I mean, you don't even need to dip into a black paint pot at all if you do this. Whilst that's drying, I'll show you. I think just need to get the paint on there. No hat, cool. Right. Just double checking on my line of miniatures that I've not missed anything. They're suspiciously pale looking heads and they haven't got helmets on, so that's all right. So this is what happens. I look up every now and again and I see chat's moved on a little bit and I can't actually work what people are talking about. See, I'm assuming I said something and you're responding to that, but I've got no idea what it was. Sorry, buddy. Break the cardinal sin of going over contrast paint with contrast paint before it's dried properly. Yeah. Do let your contrast paint dry properly before going over it with more contrast, because this stuff rips. If it's starting to dry, it will rip. And once you've got that rip, it's very, very hard to disguise it. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you muppet. Right. Right. Last one. It would be the last one, wouldn't it? Oh, missed his gun. So you see, I mean, as long as your brush comes to a sort of almost point, it doesn't really matter how big your brush is. So there you are. Size is not important after all. Also, I keep getting told. Last one. Oh, he's got a bandana on. Sweet. This is where little bits of flashes of blue and gang colors can come in. Save your heads for things like The Sentinel Walker. The Sentinel Walker comes with a couple of heads, a couple of Cadian ones and a couple of Catachan ones. But if you're doing a gang-based army, the Catachan headscarves can look like do-rags, and they're quite useful in that respect, so keep hold of them. This isn't one of them. I have a couple of those in my bits box though. There we go. All right. Give my brush a bit of a wash. I'll rinse out. It's not really washing it. Right. Black. I probably will not use this colour, just for demonstration purposes. The blue there, I'm using transparent blue because it's high pigment. This is Monument Hubbies. Quite high pigment. Very thin. A little bit of blue. And a little bit of, from exactly the same range, orange. There'll be some of you thinking, I know what he's doing. And there'll be some of you thinking, what is that lunatic doing? I will show you. Let's see if I can find my colour wheel. Well, I guess there was an accident. That's not very colourful, is it? Where is it? There it is. Aha! Right. There we go. Right. Blue, orange. Opposite each other. In the middle, black. Yeah. And that's how that works. So if we get a bit of orange here, mix in a little bit of our blue, a bit more orange, a bit more blue. And if you mix in the right quantities, it doesn't look black. And how stupid do I look? That was supposed to have worked. That should work. Everything I know about colour theory, and it isn't much, says that should work. It's sort of blackish. It definitely works with red, but you can get some really quite deep tones out of that when it works. I've not tried it with those particular paints before, so that might be it. Trust me, it works. Gosh, how boring would it be if everything went right every single time on YouTube, eh? And if you want everything to go right, and there are other YouTubers out there, right, let's get rid of that. Eat. Other YouTubers, competent YouTubers, yes, many, but not here. Right. Heat. so satisfying when it does this. Needs a little bit of helping hand. Come on, little palette. Roll it up. Good little palette. Good. Oh, how are we doing on the drying? Oh, gosh. We're drying. They're drying. Fresh and clean. Fresh, clean palette. Right. In keeping with the podcast name, you can have some paint. Podcast. Live stream name. You can have some paint and watch it dry. Look how it's dried. Isn't that incredible? Drying paint. Fascinating. Right. What's next? What's next is I just threw paint everywhere. Why did I throw? Oh, Games Workshop and your stupid paint pot designs. I tell you what. I think we got away with it. We didn't ping it over anything valuable. We're all right. We're okay. Oh. Yeah, these paint pots seem designed to get less and less able to close, and to the point where they don't close properly and all your paint dries up. Or goes everywhere in that case. Anyway, you all know this happy fellow, Wraithbone. I'm not painting everything Wraithbone because everything will be Caucasian, because it won't. Let's get a bit of... Nope. This brush is totaled. Let's see if I can restore it. Brush restorer. Literally magic. Please work. So the funny thing about magic is there's no such thing. Please work. It'll do. Put it away, because if that spills on your desk, you really are in trouble. Other products are available. And other products are better, actually. I just couldn't happen to find the product I normally use. I use that for all sorts. I'm putting it through my airbrush. Right. That's sort of fixed it. Right. To the inflessioning. Let's get a bit of that out there. Let's give a bit of water from a droplet on the side of the palette. Thin your paints, ladies and gentlemen. Thin your paints. Always to thin your paints. Right. And onto the fleshy bits. Beautiful, beautiful flesh. Flesh. Something has occurred to me. Why, when they're increasingly vulnerable, just the hands. Why do the Astra Militarum not wear gloves? Why is that not a thing? Why have they not invented gloves? You're just getting that lighter tone back on the hands. You're going to have to yell if you can't see these things if they're not in focus, you know, because I can't tell. I have never seen it, Jamie. I'm looking at a bunch of them. Maybe the commissars wear gloves because they don't want to get their hands dirty. Getting all that guardsman blood all over them from the executions must be bothersome. Yeah, I can understand that. It does make sense. They should be gloves. But they painted them with fingerless gloves, didn't they? I bet that was a thing. Again, I'm being slightly more careful here, so I've gone down a brush size or 3 because I don't want to get this everywhere. But again, I'm still not really being mega careful because I know what's coming. Let's pick out the extremes of light. And in this case, extremes of playing cards. And if anyone's expecting me to freehand the playing cards, they can jog on, I think. There will be people out there on the internet who can do that. Not me. I know my limitations. What's going on? Deathcore commissars. Or gloves from memory. Don't know if they're still in production though. What, Deathcore? All the commissars. Deathcore certainly are, and I imagine the commissars are as well. Well, last time I looked on Forge World, there seemed to be. I've got a bandage on this dude. Over his eye. You've got to worry about his depth perception. Are we auto-focusing or what? What's going off here? We're doing this quite well. Yeah. Anyway, burn that bridge when we get to it. And figure out what's going on with that third-party streaming software as well, because that's annoyed me that has stopped working. The last couple of times it was working fine. This time, no. Like I said, the only thing I did differently was set the stream up through YouTube and then try to connect it through the third party, which I think may have been a mistake. Answers on a postcard. It's Kev. Hi, Kev. Guessing you're all subscribed to my channel, aren't you? If anyone's not, what are you doing watching? Come on, off you go. Swing your rocks. So, what, 5 people watching and 3 likes? Well, it's a better percentage than some other streams get, so, you know, I'm counting that as a win. Yeah. See, as much as anything, this is the time consuming bit, because you're taking slightly more care. He's got the eponymous mohawk, made famous by 101st Airborne. Now a mainstay with hardman units everywhere. What colour would missile pallets be? Depends on the type of the missile. Pallets, just wood though. The missiles might vary depending on what they are. There we go. And Mr. Do-Rag gets his face done. There we go. Now, in theory, when I go back to the start of the line, the paint should be dry. But first, I'm going to muck around with this wraith bone. Make sure it actually closes this time. Now, if you've ever wanted to see someone put a sculpting tool through their hand live on YouTube, keep watching. Yeah, this was a lot more satisfying with the 80s and 90s paints. They've changed the formula and it's just horrible. By this point, you could just pull out a ring of the 80s, 90s paints and it would be done. It's just gacky, horrible nonsense. Don't like. Don't try this at home, kids. And if you do, and it goes awfully wrong, make sure you get it on TikTok. Because that is apparently where the money is at the moment. Or at least the fame. There we are. Look at that. Get in there. Right, there we go. One paint lid. Almost closed. Paint all over my hands. Once more, I don't use nitrile gloves because I can wash my hands and my hands won't stay on a landfill for 10 years. Yes, I know you can get biodegradable gloves, but those are the ones that stay around for 10 years or so, maybe 20, 30. The ones that don't biodegrade are there forever. Right. Okay, so flesh tones. We have Fire Slayer. We have Dark Oath. We have the eponymous Gilliman. And I have a tendency to use Snakebite. So we will select a few of these to be each flesh type. You will be Gilliman. You will be Dark Oath, I think. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? You and you will be Fire Slayer. You can be Gilliman. You can be Dark Oath. And you can be Snakebite. Cool, right. There we go. Snakebite, Dark Oath, Fire Slayer, Gilliman. That's Fire Slayer, Dark Oath, Gilliman. Right. Again, you don't want to use these neat. A little bit of water. Little bit of water. So you're tinting rather than painting. Tint. Gosh, he's got an awful lot of flesh on him, isn't he? Visible flesh. No. Right, here we go. Set him aside. Let that paint dry. Try to avoid, where possible, pooling, but it doesn't really matter, as you will see once I finish my run at these miniatures. There is a stage that will cover all ills and make everything look great. Gilliman done. Gilliman done. Right, see if anyone was paying attention. What colour are these guys? Come on, chat. Do 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 boom. That's a little bit more paint than water in that one. There we are. Stop it pooling. It was not Fire Slayers, it was Dark Oath. I'm not rewinding to check, but I'm right. Right. Not caring about detail. We do not care about detail on rank and file troops. If we care about anything, detail on anything, we pay a little bit more attention to the actual character miniatures, of which there are alarmingly few for the Astra Militarum of any sort of impressiveness, certainly when compared to other armies and how impressive their characters are. Let's get a bit more on there. Just darken them down a bit more. There we are. Dark Earth. There's the Fire Slayer. Yeah. A bit of Dark Earth in there as well. Why not? Its skin. It varies in colour. Humanity comes in all sorts of shades and colours. And that's the way we like it. There we are. Now the difference between these is subtle, very subtle, but it's there. Right, snake bite. Now this does need a bit of watering down. Otherwise, it just looks wrong. Here we go. I've used wildwood for darker skin as well. That works. There we go. Got a bit of black Templar left. I've just noticed something. A bit of black Templar. Here we are. And of course the hair needs doing. You can pick out the details on the bandage over the eye at some other point. At least I intend to. I've seen a little bit of light colour there as well. Let's get over that. Ah, look at that. It's always a bit you miss. There we are. So I have to do this every now and again. I mess up every now and again just to maintain the illusion that I'm not a flawless and perfect professional painter. You'd never buy it otherwise, you know. You'd never buy it. Right, let's have a look, see how we're drying. How are we drying, gentlemen? And ladies? I don't know if you see ladies in there, I don't know. There are certainly some female heads in the Cadian box set. Right, they're coming along. I need a thinner brush, not that thin, not that wrecked. What's that one? What is that one? That's a 1. That'll do. Okay. Accent colours. We are going to use crystal blue because I don't actually have that many blue paints from Games Workshop. That's a lie, actually. What have I got? Soulstone blue, no good. McCrag blue. I could use McCrag blue. No. Cantor blue. Might use a bit of that. Right. May not have to. We'll see. Different brush. No, that was the brush. Right. Where's my water? Doesn't matter. There's a bit of fire slayer in it. We don't care. Right. Now, army painter paints do need watering down a little bit because they are super goopy. Right. I'm just adding a little bit of colour to the cuffs, the visible cuffs. On the miniature. That was another step I was going to do before painting the helmets, so we'll do the other step before painting the helmets. But we'll get this done now, seeing as the paint's out. And we're committed. We are committed. There is no turning back now. Everybody's getting blue cuffs. Why? Because it's all out colours. And regimental colours, because, you know, oops. If they don't know, we ain't going to tell them, right? If a fight breaks out in the refectory, well, it was them what started it. I'm sure it's not called a refectory. I'm sure it has a suitable quasi-Latin name for the guard. Canteen, eatery, slop house. Oh, that's something else, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. Mess. Mess? Yeah, that'll do. Oh, chat's kicking off. I can't keep up. Can't keep up. There's so many people talking. Just engrossed with my painting, clearly. Or you've all stopped watching. Yeah, somebody stopped watching. Don't blame them. I think I'm competing with Liam and Winters and God knows who else tonight. So, you know, I won't get my usual 500-600. Oh, good. Glad to know you're still there. Yeah, he's got his do-rag, blue do-rag. Look kind of like a UN soldier, but yeah, whatever. Hopefully I'm giving you some ideas. Although I've not really done anything particularly impressive other than just sort of slap paint on miniatures now. But the impressive bit comes a bit later. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Yeah. And Jon Sargent. There's the blue cuffs. And the Lover's rank markings, which we like. What's happened with your hair, missus? Yeah, that might be a female face. What do you reckon? But you can't focus on it, can you? Yeah, I think she's female. I'm going to go over that hair a bit because it's not taken quite the way I wanted it to. There we go. That's better. Oh, drinky time. Right. Lid on the wet palette. Because we're not using the wet palette anymore because we are using metallic. And you don't put metallic in your wet palette ever. No matter how it complains, no matter how it squeals, don't let it happen. And don't feed it after midnight either. There we are. Right, what do I need now? I need another brush. Oh, you'll do. Suitably knacked. Yeah. Suitably knackered brush. And we're gonna not quite dry brush. It was a helmet. Bit of stippling, bit of dry brushing. Because all the guardsmen in that painting have metallic helmets. I'm going to go over the top, just the top of the weapon. Just very lightly, just picking out the details, giving it a bit of shine. We can get a little bit more crazy with the weapons if we want to later, but this is just blocking in the colour. I'm just giving it a bit of something for the eyes to think, yeah, that's metallic. Didn't actually go over that hose, did I? I'll go over the hose a bit. Yeah. Once more. You know, it's not that fascinating watching someone else paint a unit, is it? Because it's just repeating steps. Oh, this colour, then this colour, then this colour. But, you know, it gets the job done. How long have we been at this? 9 o'clock. Oh, wow. So it's taken quite a while. Right. And again, just over the top, very top, to give the eye something to convince that it's metallic. You don't need to paint the entire thing because we painted it black already. So we've been at this an hour and a half, haven't we? And we're almost there. This is the second to last step, with the exception of the basing. The basing scheme I use for this is very, very simple. And I'm sure it doesn't need to be demonstrated. It's just, oh God, where is it? Astra Granite. So this is what takes the time, losing stuff. Anyway, Citadel Astra Granite. Debris. Once over with that, and then a little bit of the trusty Agrax, watered down a bit. And then if you're feeling particularly frisky, go over it with, oh, he's got a particularly shiny helmet, look at that. This is not me not avoiding my brush clip properly. But that's all right, variation. And if you're feeling particularly frisky, I've said that already, yeah, no I haven't. Dry brush it with, oh I don't know, something like Grace here. Just to pick out the details. I use here we are. Yep, come here. I use that, which is Stonewall Grey from Vallejo. And just over the top of the weapon, just giving it a little bit of colour, a little bit of interest. Super rough, super ready. This is why I chosen Naka brush. Yeah. See. And there's a little bit of detail I can pick out later there when I can be bothered. I'm just laying down the basic colours. Yeah. One more to go after this, and then stuff gets interesting. More interesting. I'm sure this is riveting. Who's not riveted? Anyone not riveted? CA's not riveted. He's had to leave early. He was bored. Right. Concentrating on the teeth of the chainsaw to make them super, super shiny, but don't ignore the rest of it. Just pick out the detail. Pick out the edges, a little bit on the bolter. It's got to be a bolt pistol, that has to be a marine, isn't it? Right, cool. So there we go. So let's chuck a bit on that grenade as well. Why not? While we're here. Why the devil not? Okay, cool. Now stuff gets interesting. Because we need this, because I always use this for this. We need, where's my big brush that I was using for everything funky? Is that my number 9? Yeah, I'll put that away, I won't use that. Use number 10. Now these are super cheap things off Amazon, I think I got them from. Super cheap is good. Right, line up our dudes and dudette. Because things are about to get crazy. I need, what do I need? I need things, stuff and things. I need some of them. Get there. And you, get in there. Need to get some more of them. And what else do I need? I need a little bit of that. This is Winsor & Newton Winton All Coral Colour, Burnt Sienna, Oil Colour. A little bit of that. Yuck. Squidge that back on. And ivory black. Other side of the brush so you don't contaminate. And roughly half. Yeah, but get in there. You can vary that depending on the effect you're trying to go for. But half works. As a general rule. Now, you can chuck in a bit of white spirit just to mix it down into a sort of a thickish wash. But I've got some premix here, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. It's white spirit and those two paints mixed together. I might need a bit of white spirit anyway, because that's a little bit too thick. Yes. Yeah, that's a bit way too thick. You don't want it super thin, but you do want it to brush on. Now, in case anyone is in any doubts at this point, the style we're going for here is Grimdark. Grimdark to many people means dirty. That is certainly a style, and it is occasionally my style. However, what this does, this is just magic. Yeah? You know how you thought Nuln was magic? You know how you thought Agrax was magic? This is actual magic. If you have not made the jump to using oil paints, honestly, why not? And automatically I've made a mistake because I forgot to put the blue stripes on the helmets. But you know what? I don't care. I'm committed now. Okay. All over. So that's quite a thick wash. Get it into all the crooks and all the nannies. And then before it's had this has taken age to dry anyway, but while it's drying, I missed a bit. Get on there. While it's drying, get your swab. Over you go. You just take in the top bit of colour, a bit of brown and black oils. And the thing with oils is they just blend and smooth really well. And they work especially well on metals, gun metals, because you just get that oily sheen on which just looks amazing. And there we go. I'll remove my glasses and we will compare that to one of the previous squad, and you will see there's not an awful lot of difference. I think I might have dry brushed this one slightly with the light grey, but no, that's the effect. How cool is that? And how quick was that? What, maybe 2 hours? Nearly that? Nearly 2 hours? Nearly 2 hours. Ooh. I got rid of the chat. How do I get the chat back? Oh no! Oh, wait. Come back, chat. No, come on, chat. Come back. I can't see the chat. I don't know where it's gone. I've clicked something. No. Was it edit? No. No, it wasn't edit. Ah! Oh no! Oh no, 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 no. Oh, there we go. Right. Ooh. Quite you. Right, so a bit more white spirit, I think. A little bit on the thick side. Scooch. Like I say, you don't want it too thin. You do want to get some actual paint on there rather than. So again, over the entire lot. Yeah, Lexicus is brilliant. Get it going on. It's messy, and you need something else to clean your brushes. You can't, you need white spirit to clean your brushes really, but it is so effective and it's so quick. And this works just as well on any colors really. It works well on the Cadian colors as well, I've seen. And it's just adds a level of I've been in the field realism to it. To the point where I was a convert for streaking grime a long time ago, and I think this might have overtaken it in terms of utility because it's just spot on and so quick to use. You have to wait for the streaking grime to dry really, and it doesn't quite give the same effect. But there's just, it ties everything together and just elevates the miniature. You can't see what I'm doing. Oh. There we are. Dulls everything down, ties everything together with a single blacky browny oily grubby texture and colour. It takes the contrast up a level, it really does. It's just sensual. I'll tell you what, the likes of Duncan Rhodes and Squidmar and what have you, they'd be using this technique if they wanted to paint like me. But you know, they've got their own thing, and that's fine. You know, one day they'll come around. Now you see what it means about, and I say you don't really have to worry about where you're getting the paint, as long as you're getting in more or less the right sort of place, because you're going over everything in this, and it's just going to tie everything together. It's like, I'd call it cheating, but it's really not, because you know, you can do it longhand, that's fine. You can get a similar effect with hours and hours and hours spent blending and glazing and this, that, and the other. But really, if you want to get troops onto the table and you want them to look grubby but respectable, you can't really fault this. I've used this on most of my characters. This is the wash that I used on this guy to bring him up to tie him in with the rest of the unit. And what you can do is, once this is dried about, and we're talking 15-20 minutes, oil paint takes a long time to dry, I will not lie. 15-20 minutes we'll get all the all of the thinners and such out of it, and then what you can do is you can come back in with one of these. See, I'm getting so excited, I'm just moving everything off camera. Come in with one of these with a little bit of white spirit on them, and just over the very, very tops of the miniature, just give it a quick flick with a bit more thinner, and you end up creating highlights. Craziness. Shouldn't be allowed. Not COVID. A circular motion going on. I mean, you can do this with Q-tips, but these are just better. Ideally, you want to be using something that's not going to leave strands of gack behind. And these are just the same material you make cosmetic sponges out of, but on a stick. And everything isn't better on a stick. That's just science. You'll notice there's nearly as much paint on me as there is on the miniature. But that's how it goes. That is how it goes, Shamoog. There we go. Cooks and nannies. And off again with Bodge. It just dulls everything down, dirties everything down. Last but not least, stuff is fantastic on AdMech as well. Any sort of copper and bronze and brass and things you got going on. Steampunkiness. I guess that sort of residual oil, dark, grimdarkiness going on. And of course you can use other colours as well. You can use reds and on cloaks, which is particularly effective, blues. I'm just going to list some colours now. I think they know, Merc, that they can use other colours and that oil paints are available in other colours. And I think they can experiment for themselves. I think they have that capability. I think they are fully functioning sentient beings. Nah. Right, there we go. Look at that. It's just beautiful. 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 That oily sheen of everything, so that kind of almost like they've been out in the rain and they've got wet uniforms. So what I will do from now is I will wait for that to dry. I will pick out any highlights that I think need picking out. I will give everything a coat of matte varnish wash, matte varnish over the entire lot, just to dull down that sheen a bit. And really, that's, you know, done. Done. Cool. So it's what, 9:30. I started it 7:30. Didn't start broadcasting until about 8. I would have thought, because, you know, technology and me. I hope that's given you some ideas. I hope you've enjoyed hobbying with me. And yeah, I'm going to try and get back onto the horse of producing tutorials and things. I fell off that one due to head issues, but I'm going to try and get back on it. I mean, I did say that, well, I have said that I'm not made of time, and I'm going to try and keep to a tutorial a week if I can, but it's not always going to be possible. So you know what you signed up for when you subscribed, and that's that's the way it's going to have to be, I'm afraid. But I'm doing better, and I'm going to try and get another tutorial out maybe this week, and hopefully another one at the weekend, just to make up for it. So yeah, that's these dudes. These dudes done. And once you get into when you're not trying to explain it to an audience, you can get into quite a rhythm and knock these out at a fair rate of knots, I would have said. But that's the infantry component of my New Year, New Army. Done. Gosh, that's out of focus. That's all sorts of out of focus. Lift that up so it's in focus. Go on. That's more in focus. It's not particularly high resolution. Maybe it'll render for high resolution later. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're not already liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. I do have a Patreon channel. I'm not a Patreon website, although I'm not entirely expecting anyone to contribute to that unless you're particularly crazy. Hi, Mick. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Oh, I can't stop the stream. No, can't stop the signal. It won't switch off. End, damn it. Right, not yet, whatever. End, now. It won't stop. I'm stuck. Help. Help. I'm clicking end and it's not. Oh.